Come in. Oh,
Hello, Joseph, is it?
hi, Dr. Zapata. Yes, Joe. How are you?
I'm well. What seems to be the problem, Joe?
Well, I'm having difficulty drawing from imagination.
Oh, Joseph, just so you know, that's totally normal. Why don't you tell me a little more about your problem? Is it that you can only draw from imagination if you're completely alone?
Doc, I can't ever draw from imagination.
What about if you're completely relaxed?
When I'm totally relaxed, I can't imagine a thing.
I see. Joseph, it's important to know that even with severe cases like this, there's always hope. I can prescribe an experimental therapy called Form from Imagination.
Form from imagination?
It's early days, but clinical trials are extremely promising. Why don't you try this for 6 months and then check back in with me?
Okay, I'll do whatever it takes. Did you just draw this?
Oh yeah.
Wow, it's amazing. Hey, Doc, do you ever have trouble drawing from imagination?
Oh no.
You wouldn't. I mean, you drew this.
That's right.
Wow.
Form from Imagination is an experimental therapy and is not yet approved for use by the FDA. Do not use Form from Imagination if you are already taking any prescriptions for drawing from reference, working side size, or tracing photos you didn't even take. Stop taking Form from Imagination if you experience any of these side effects: loss of interest in your personal projects, megalomaniacal self-confidence, hallucinations, unless they're the kind you're hoping for, drawing better than Steven Zapata, or feelings that purchasing the course was enough and you don't really need to do the exercises. Call your doctor if you have stiff gestures, flat forms, or boring ideas to address a possible life-threatening condition. Full sketchbooks have been reported with Form from Imagination and medicines like it. Other risks include long-term art careers, too many clients, and being worth more than you're charging for. Call your doctor today and ask about Form from Imagination. What's up? What is up? Hello, people. Dear friends Joseph and Ahmed, how are you? What is up? Hello, friends. I cut off the timer early and just ran the ad because I got impatient. I was like, I'm just ready to go here. I don't want to sit here and wait for this forever. Oh, but I should have got more water while I waited. How's everybody doing? Hello, Aletasso. Oh, hello, Torin? Nick Ravioli, hello. Plexel, Arctic Monkey, Ayub, Snowdraws, Max, AP, and all of the others who are here and present and ready to draw. How many takes it took to not laugh during that scene? Joe and I were messing around for a long time. It takes all day to make about a minute of content. It was a lot of work. How's everybody doing? Yeah, you gotta get your drawing in. I thought I'd drop by today for a quick couple hours here, do a little sketching with you guys, get you guys to sketch. I know you're not doing it. Don't lie to me. No, there you go, you're lying again. Stop it. You're only embarrassing yourself. Just admit it. Just admit you're not drawing, admit you're not doing it as much as you want, admit you're not doing it in the morning before work and with your morning coffee. It's fine, all right? No, I said it's fine. The problem is that you lie about it. That's the problem. Everything else is okay. We've all got lives, we've all got other things we need to do, we got jobs to go to, dogs to walk. It's the lying that's the problem. So stop lying about it. That's what's making me angry. Hey Jason, how you doing? David, it's 5 a.m. and you haven't slept yet. Dude, you gotta sleep. You've got to sleep. Let's see. What do I have going on? Well, I've already drawn today. I've got some stuff open that I doodled on. Maybe I'll work on this a little bit more. It feels so good to draw again. I'm just eating up all of my little sketches, just having so much fun doing them. Maybe want to do some big muscle guy made up of other muscle guys. That's my usual design taste. Just make it out of the same thing that it is, and then that'll make it cool. It's my favorite kind of design. Maybe we'll keep doing stuff like this for the extended Zapataverse. I had some old stuff in my sketchbook. Pulled up some old stuff from my sketchbook. Thought about maybe doing iterations on those or variations on those. This was pretty cool, but it wasn't really a thing. But I kind of like the way it looks. Maybe I'll riff on that a bit. Old necromancer concept. Or maybe I'll just sketch new stuff because that's always the most fun. My Huion Kamvas 4K already has a nasty orange light leak in the bottom left-hand corner. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? You know, at least it didn't cost twice as much to have the Wacom logo on it and have the same problem. At least I have that problem for half the price. That's all right. That's all right. I just noticed it while I was beginning stream, and I was like, should I send it back? Should I send it back? And then I was like, you know, you send it back, you just get another one with the same problem. You know? I don't know. It's just down there with my layers. Maybe I'll just accept it. Ahmed Al-Duri says, hey, question, your sense of form and lighting looking really convincing. Is there any way we can learn this too? Absolutely not, Ahmed. There isn't, unfortunately. You know, I wish there was something you could do. But at this point in time, there's really nothing you can do. You get the course. You get the course. You struggle. You feel despair. You wonder why you don't get better. You realize you need help. You get the course. You get the course. You get the course. You get the course. That's what you do. And the link's down in the description for anybody who is interested in checking out the course. You think I have any idea why that happened? I have no idea. Like I was saying, many thanks to everybody who has already got the course. It's extremely gratifying. Thank you so much. I'm very happy to have you. We're already having a good time back there. People are already doing assignments, which I was like, man, people really getting in on the assignments that fast. I mean, super quick. I'm in there. I'm giving some notes. We're already doing some fun notes on people's stuff. Good attempts at spheres. You know, you start from the base. You start from the base. And you know what? I hate to say it, all right? But if you've never carefully rendered a sphere, you really don't understand the depth of what's available there. It's like there's no faking it. You've either tried it or you haven't. And if you've never done it in pencil, woo, brother. Woo, brother. You got to try it, man. I mean, look at how many notes I can do just on these, but then all of these notes, you know, these are completely different notes, completely different ideas. I mean, so many little nuances of understanding that bring the quality up, you know? So we're already having fun there. We're giving out the info. We're giving out the juice. So if you're interested, I know you are. If you're interested, keep being interested. Just keep being interested, and eventually you'll roll over the edge and you'll be like, now I'm more than interested. Now I'm thirsty. Then I've got what will quench your thirst. It's like 50 video lessons and like a 30-page assignment book and a community with people engaging each other and talking about the stuff, and weird pedagogy that is all based on experiencing the form like it's real and you can feel it and sculpt it, and pushing you towards that instead of trying to, you know, gum up your brain with a whole bunch of silly rules. And you get the course. You get the course. And then also go get Ahmed's course. I saw Mitchell mention Ahmed's course. You get both. You get both. Buy every course on the market. That's all I have to say. That's the obvious good advice. All right, what do I want to... Let me see if just give me 2 seconds to find out if I want to draw something new. And then if not, we will go jump ship to something we've already drawn. Interesting. I seem to have drawn a muscly monster. How unexpected. I have to admit, I did not see that one coming. Well, how does my image size menu always wind up on my third monitor? Human beings. Pedro Assisi says, this course will be out there for how long? I will be able to buy it in the future. It's going to be there waiting for you. And don't worry about it. It's out. I mean, this is just my main focus now. Don't lie to me, Photoshop. Don't lie to me. You know damn well that selection isn't empty. Don't pretend you don't know how layers don't work. Yeah, something like that could be a cool base for something. What's up with everybody? What are y'all doing? Oh, praise Nurgle. Muscular monsters are always great. I agree. I have to say I agree. Getting out of the comfort zone, always. It's like sometimes the pecs are a little thicker, sometimes the pecs are a little thinner. It's just like, I'm daring. I don't know how else to put it, you know? Like, I'm just a really brave kind of an artist, you know? The $1 million question, Mitchell. The $1 million question. Just Draw says, love that name. Subs up. Steve, let me know. Is it a good idea to try to draw the parts of the body for improvement in my anatomy drawing? Or should I draw all body? When I say parts, I mean link, draw hand, draw head. I think if you want really good anatomy, you do need to draw the individual parts at some point. You do need to look at them in isolation. But if that's not your goal, then I think you can get like 90% of the quality improvement from only drawing full bodies. That's my personal opinion. And if you do want really anatomically heavy drawings, you can't skip drawing the full body. The full composition of the body, its full interrelationship between all its parts is always going to be more important than the niceties of any individual part. You can't compromise on that. And I have another question. The Draw for Imagination is worth it for any level? Well, Ahmed Al-Duri says, the Drawing for Imagination course seems to be really great for any level, even if you're a beginner, only if you're willing to do the work. I have to emphasize that, only if you're willing to do the work. But I would say it's absolutely good for people, even on beginner level. I designed it with that in mind. I mean, that's why we start with spheres and cubes. I mean, for the feedback that I'm giving right now, I mean, look, I'm critiquing spheres, all right? This is basic stuff. You couldn't ask for a simpler thing to nail the form on. So it's loaded up front with the basics. So I would say it's very good for beginners. But the thing is that the fundamentals really, they keep on giving, you know? Every time you revisit them, you sort of have a deeper appreciation for them because of everything you know about what comes after them. You know, I know for me, and I'd say I've gone through cycles where I've revisited the fundamentals like, I don't know, 6 times or something like that. And making the course was another one, right? Because I had to redo all of the demos. I had to go through the course myself to make the course. Even though I know all this stuff, you always learn something new when you go back, and your appreciation only deepens, I would say. Hey, Osho. Joseph says, Steven, I'm worried about taking courses that are limited by the amount of demonstrations, physical models, and 3D models. Does the course have aids like that? You bet your butt. You bet your butt. It's a lot of demos. It's like it's dozens of demos. Just pencil. That's just the pencil drawing demos. There's a bunch of quick tips and digital demonstrations as well in there. But it's dense with demonstrations. I mean, if we go over to... And yes, for anybody's like, wait a second, Joe's a plant. He's pretending that he's... It's like, yeah, Joe's my friend. And I didn't ask him to plant like that, but I don't care. I'll show the course. What do I care? It's a lot of demos. I mean, here's the course once you're in it and you're looking at it. A lot of upfront... Again, for the people who are asking, is it good for beginners? Deep upfront instruction on the nature of light, diffuse reflection, specular reflection. These are all multimedia journeys through the nature of light. modeling factors, in-depth investigated on real spheres, cubes, cones, looking at the reality of how these things present in the world. And then, my God, it's demo after 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 demo. I mean, geez, when you hit this, I mean, you gotta unfold this, baby. I mean, there's more demos hiding in here. Some of them are also nice little talks and lectures and things like that. You ever seen the assignment book? Any of you seen the assignment book? Look at this. My lovely wife helped me lay this one out, but many props to her. I think the assignment book came out great, but this will take you step by step through everything you got to do to survive the course. Just keeps going, baby. Just keeps going. And those are all the example images that you see there are the demos that I do in the videos. So there's a lot of demonstrations. Man, there's a lot of demos. Keep doing live Zapata. Yeah, I'm around, man. Now that I got this course out, oh my God, I'm back, you know? I get to hang out. Monster heads on paper, so important. You have to do that. You have to do that. Where was I here? Still not over the joke about the patient. If you ever have issues performing imaginative drawing, yeah. Many thanks to Joseph. He's a good patient, you know. He's going to get better, you know, with his experimental therapy. He's going to get better. Hi, Steven. How can I learn to draw backgrounds? I can draw characters really well, but I don't know how to transfer the knowledge totally. It's like, what do you think backgrounds are that is different from any object, right? So any individual object in a background is the same thing as a character, right? It's just forms in space being illuminated by light. The only new questions are compositional questions, but those compositional questions actually do apply to the character just as much to the landscape. This is not to sound mean or anything like that, but the fact that you would say, like, I think I get it on a character, but I don't get it on a landscape, actually betrays that you don't quite get it on a character yet. If you really understood it on a deep level, you would see that there is no difference, you know? Me standing in a landscape is not any different from a tree standing in a landscape. And me in relationship to other organic beings, other human beings, is no different than a tree in relationship to a rock. All of the same principles apply. There's only the particular, you know, storytelling nuances of people are more interested in a human than a tree. But that's the deeper meta answer to your question, I think. If you, for the more practical side, I would study composition focused landscape painting. So I would really not study like the backgrounds of animated TV shows or the backgrounds that go in like modern illustrations. Those are very like, I mean, they're beautiful, but they're very workmanlike. They have a different goal in mind than composition. So if you're really trying to figure out how to compose backgrounds, look at the best. Look at Metcalf, look at Aldro Hibbard, look at Ines, look at Frederick Church, look at Bierstadt, look at the people who did paintings of, you know, backgrounds, they're landscapes. Look at people who did paintings of landscapes with that's the only thing in the painting, and all that matters to them is that it be beautifully composed. It's not even necessarily about storytelling, right? It would be with like a Bierstadt maybe, or a Frederick Church. You could say that they were about storytelling, but certainly someone like an Aldro Hibbard or a Metcalf, like we're talking academic salon painters who focused on landscape. It's just about how beautifully arranged is it abstractly, and there's very little on top of that. So I would study them. And there's, you know, a mountain of artists to check out. How do I watch these vids, Zapata? Check out www.formfromimagination.com. The link is in the description. Love from Nigeria, Stephen. Love your art. Thank you so much, Oshok. Love from Nueva York. How's everybody else doing? What's going on? They say when you teach, you learn twice. Do you think making this course helps you improve as an artist? Every time I teach anything, it always makes me better. Everything I've had to teach. Making this course about the fundamentals of form all the way up to advanced form, teaching production design, teaching dramatic narrative, all of it, up and down the board. It all made me much better at those things when... because you often get asked to teach those things because you've reached a level where you understand them intuitively. But then when it gets codified, when they're like, all right, you're the professor for this class now, suddenly you're like, all right, I gotta pull it all out of my head and actually like write it and turn it into curriculum. The solidification of that always makes you better at it. It just makes it so much clearer for you. Okay, good, everybody, okay. Just Draw asks again, me again, sir, for learning all body, is better gesture or live model or both together? Both together. I think if you, at this point in history, if you want to be really good at the body, you need to do everything. I think that's the honest, sad answer. You need to do short drawings, long drawings, you need to do gestures, you need to work from photographs, you need to work from live models, you need to do it all. There's no compromising. That's only if you want to get really good. If you just want to do it as a job, you just do over and over again what you need to do for the job. You just look at the job, whatever the job is, and you just do that over and over and over again until you're stupid good at it. And then you go to somebody who wants to hire you. You say, look, I'm stupid good at it. And they're like, oh yeah, look, he's stupid good at it. And then, you know, make sure to charge less than you're worth when they ask you for your rate. Don't forget that part. Very important as an artist to do that. Shaking my head. Can you guys hear the music or not? What is this? What is this music? This music I don't like. I need something more. It's a little too, just a little too upbeat, you know? You know what? It's totally fine if you guys can't hear it. I'm not convinced yet. I want to hear it, so. What's good music to motivate you, Zapata? I think it really depends on what kind of person you are. I mostly listen to just pop music, stuff that's dancey. It's not really about motivation for me. I just, want a little bit more energy while I work. Drawing tends to be very sedentary, If I'm really tired or if I need to, pump myself up, metal's always good. Just listen to a song about the devil. Just think about like, wow, what's it like to be the devil? Wow, is there something it's like to be Satan? That's interesting. That'll get you pumped up. That's what I do. But that's just like, I think if I want to generalize that, it's just like, just listen to the music you loved in high school. It'll trigger that annoying part of your brain that is just constantly going, I just like the things I've seen and heard before. Like, it'll make that part of your brain happy and it'll give you some dopamine. You did make it in time, Excidium. You glorious Excidium, you. You did make it in time. Monster feet should be as sexy as any other feet. I mean scary! As scary as any other feet. Do you care if people actively try to insult your work/art in the moment, even non-professionally? Insult? Well, I mean, I think insult would imply... It's like, where does an insult occur? Does it occur in the heart of the insulter or in the heart of the insultee, right? I mean, if I feel insulted, then that just proves that I care, right? I don't know. I don't really personally... If you mean, like, do I care if people, like, make comments or give critiques or something like that while I work? No, I usually don't care because I have just a standing policy of, like, I don't really... It doesn't matter, you know? Like, I don't care. Like, not... It's not that I don't care, but it's like... any moment or any comment that could come while I'm working on something. It's just like, all right, it's just a small, dim view of something they don't understand, and they don't know what I'm working towards. And, you know, how long have I been working on this? 5 minutes? It's like pictures take weeks, you know, if you want to do something as best as you can. So it's just like, if someone makes like a thoughtless comment or an unsolicited critique, I'm just like, all right, and I just ignore it, you know? Unless there's something useful in there that I can happen to apply in the moment. But I think that you're thinking something a little bit more, that comes off a little bit more rude or something like that. And that's what I'm talking about. It's like anything that seems pointedly rude, by definition, just sort of tells me that, like, I don't have to worry about it. Like, they just don't get what's going on here, you know? I also don't expect people to like my work, you know? Like, I don't expect to be an artist who is liked by everybody. I don't think I would want that, you know? Like, I know I'm not like some mass appeal kind of a guy. So anytime someone doesn't like my work, or they join the ever-growing gallery of my vociferous detractors, I'm just like, that makes perfect sense. You know, that makes absolutely perfect sense. All right, a couple more seconds of work there. Let's see what's up. Oh yeah, I should save this. What's today? July 18. Sketchbook page. Nick Ravioli says, do you sometimes see a student of yours do something, maybe some detail that makes you go, oh man, I got to try this too? All the time. All the time. I mean, everyone's... One of my favorite things to do as a teacher is try to call out people's knacks. If any of you have been in my workshop, you might have been there when I've tried to tell someone their knack, you know? That's one of my favorite things is identifying this is a person who's pretty close to being a beginner or like low intermediate, but in this one particular fundamental, maybe it's color or their understanding of form or their design sense, they started at a higher level with that than everything else, and they seem to have a natural mind for it. That's their knack. And I identify those knacks with moments like that, where I see like, oh, that's really interesting. Like, I'm impressed by that, or that's a way that I wouldn't have thought about it. And it's sort of like really cutting out ahead of the rest of their skills. Yeah. That's one of the most fun things to do as a teacher, is to try to help someone find their knack. Rip Pup says, glad to see you streaming again. I'm glad to be streaming again. Grey White Sufi says, let me rephrase. Do you feel like you have to defend some artistic choices to a client? Oh, no, that's different. I mean, look, when you're on the job and they're paying you, unless you have a very particular relationship with that client where you have had a discussion about what you want the dynamic to be, I don't defend anything. If they don't like it, I just nod and I redo it or do a different iteration. Like, that's not... I don't think most client jobs are the time to get on your soapbox. I think that it's disrespectful to take someone's money for a job and then, because, how to put this, like, they don't know what you're capable of and they probably can't afford your best. So it's not, if they start knocking you left and right off of what you think is the best choice, the best taste, the best design decision, and you resist that, that's not what they signed up for, right? They just need the job done, right? Most clients are not signing up for an ecstatic, mystical, artistic experience. They're signing up for you to shut up and deliver the job on time and on budget. So I think that is not the context to defend an artistic decision at all. You know, if it's really egregious, I will, in the most calm sense, say like, you might reconsider that one because A, B, C, D, but I never do anything beyond that personally. Just Draw says, Form for Imagination has feedback for the exercises. Yep, I'm doing feedback these days. I spent my morning doing that, actually. Looking at people's spheres. Boom, boom, boom. I'd love to do project-based work, and I've been trying to figure out what I like for a while, but every time I think I've got it, I can never seem to maintain interest for more than a few months or weeks. And I just go back to doing studies. Any special techniques for figuring out what you really love to do? A lot of people really struggle with this. And it's one of the hardest things to deal with because there is no easy answer. If I was perfectly honest, I think for the most part, for most people, when they're struggling with that, it's because they really don't understand how high the stakes are. Like, they don't understand how long it actually takes to make anything even mediocre, right? They think it takes a long time to make things that are amazing. It's like, no. It takes longer than you're willing to put in to make something mediocre. So they don't understand that. They don't understand how life is going to knock them off course. They don't understand that the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. They don't understand that they should have started yesterday. They don't understand that their dream thing, their little comic book, their video game that they want to make, all the world will conspire to make sure it cannot be real. And to make it real will require a valiant effort that I can promise you, you will look back on your deathbed and say, that was one of the things that I can clearly be very glad I put my time and effort to, no matter how it went. Most people just don't understand that. They think that just because it feels so vibrant and real in their head, right? Your little comic book that you've been thinking about since you were 9, that it's like almost guaranteed it'll be real someday. It's like, no, it's not, man. Miura didn't finish Berserk. Start yesterday. Start. You're wasting your time, and the odds are against you. Get going. I didn't know you had detractors. Pretty crazy to imagine someone like you would have them. Everybody's got detractors. I don't actually have. You'd be, I'm just kidding around. You'd be lucky, of course, on the internet to even invoke someone's ire with art. The most common reaction to art is to completely forget about it and not care. You'd be lucky if you could make people angry with it. Even if you tried, you wouldn't be able to do it. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Sorry. I'm dog sitting, so this dog doesn't know how to listen to me. Shh. Sit. Look at me. You want a head scratch? Oh, look at that. Everything's all right, huh? All right, take a sit. Take a sit. No. No. I'm just going to mute for a second in case she barks again. All right, I think she calmed down. Apologies. You know what it's like when you got 2 dogs in the house. Yeah, you got to respect the client's dollar, for sure. Nick says, something that has been bothering me. If you work grayscale to color, let's say you want to color this bird xenomorph thing. That's not just a color layer on multiply, is it? You can do that. If you really know what you're doing, you'll see me do that sometimes. But if I really wanted to do it good as I could, I would just redo it. So I would use the grayscale as a base, a study, a plan. I would trace this, to get back to just the raw lines, and I'd start fresh with flat colors and things like that. Unless you know what unless you understand exactly what the multiply layer is doing to the value base that you have on there, it's very confusing and you're not going to be able to make the right choices. It goes back to a lot of that stuff about chroma point, how certain colors can hold their hue within a wider value range and others in a smaller value range. You got to get all that stuff so that when you do a trick like a multiply layer over, you know what it's messing up and what it's giving you that's good. How big is your canvas? 3,800 pixels wide. What can you recommend for someone like me to improve in shading, form, and pencil if you can't get the course? I mean, there's all sorts of... Just begin the dive, Watch everything you can, read everything you can. And draw. Draw and don't waste time. Drawing must always be number one. And anything that you're doing that is keeping you from drawing, I mean decisions that you're, not like life, not like family or anything like that, but weird thoughts about art or listening to other people's exercises or thinking that you need to do it a certain way or something like that. Anything like that that winds up keeping you from drawing, you got to cut it out of your life. And just draw a lot. And look at the world around you, Ask yourself constantly, why does this look this way? That'll teach you how to draw with pencil, but it'll teach you how to draw with anything. You want to understand the world. That's why in the course I show the modeling factors on real balls and spheres that I painted white, so that you get a basic idea of like, this stuff is happening all around you, on everything. It's happening on your bathtub, on your shampoo bottle, on your dog, on your wife. It's happening everywhere at everything that you look at. It's important to understand that. Melvin Wells says, "Hey Steven, it's Mel." Well, Mel, it's me, Steven. What up? How you doing, Mel? Oh god, sketching is delicious. How I missed you sketching. I'm just gonna take a few days to just sketch like a madman and build up my usual flow of shapes and forms that I'm interested in. Uh-oh, she's gonna bark again. Oh god, I'm rushing to the mute. No problem, Babalat. No problem, Just Draw. Steven, I've been told my digital coloring is great, however my drawing skill is really holding me back. What can I do? Cyan Knight, you must draw. All right, maybe your digital coloring is your knack, you know? Maybe you really have an accelerated ability for it, but you can't slump on the drawing. You know, drawing's the make or break, you know? Drawing's the real deal. And you can either do it or you can't. And if you can do it, you're going to be all right. You know, you're going to be all right. Even in the AI future, you'll probably be all right. If you can draw, you're set. It's a rare, hard to acquire skill set that requires you to balance a craft with a mentality, and requires you to be, super thoughtful and careful and just everything. So you can't slump on your drawing. And, you know, if you're asking me just like, how do I get better at drawing? It's like, you gotta go. You gotta draw. Draw, Antonio, draw, and don't waste time. There's no other option. Begin drawing like crazy, you know, like just get fevered about it. It should be urgent. It should be urgent to draw. You know, I wake up thinking about drawing. I'm just like, what am I going to draw today? I have ideas while I'm in the car. I have ideas while I'm, you know, pretending to listen to my friends. It's just like drawing is always just infecting my brain. It's just always bubbling up like bubbles in tar, in sticky black tar. You got to develop that relationship with it. That's not really I'm not saying that that's a natural thing. It's like that comes from development. That comes from creating a space in your life to do that. And drawing is a mindset. It's an openness to configurations of forms and realities. It's not, don't think of it just as a craft, you know, as a specific thing that is done when the pencil is in hand. It's like, it's bigger than that. Now there's about 1.5 billion different ways to draw, and because there's 1.5 billion different ways to draw, there's 1.5 billion different ways to get better at drawing. You need to find yours, because everybody does need to go on a separate journey. You know, there's concepts and ideas that can be useful for everybody, but in the end, if you're really going to be an artist, if you're really going to drawing with a capital D, you need to go on your own journey and you need to make your own discoveries. Look at the old masters, you know, look at history. Look at great art. Develop excellent taste for great art. Don't be ignorant about art. Don't be ignorant about art history and how art is made and how art has affected society and how the great artists have worked. And for the love of God, if you're going to be ignorant about that, don't be proud of it. At least have the good grace to be ashamed that you don't know anything about your chosen vocation. All right? You should know about that stuff. You should be interested in that stuff, and it all pays dividends. All right? It all makes you better to understand the work of the past and to love it and to have good taste for it, you know? Don't forget, what you see in the world today, there's no taste filter. So you're seeing everything that's awful and everything that's good. But when you look at the past, only the good stuff has survived. That's why being educated about the past, by definition, improves your taste about drawing. Does that make sense? Right? Obviously, there's no filtering this stuff, right? You're seeing just everything that gets made these days. You know, algorithms aside, you know what I'm saying. But the algorithms don't select for the best stuff. They select for what works right now. So you see everything on all levels of quality, sophistication, nuance, power, style, grace. The past is not like that. When you look at the art of the past, you see through a filter. And instead of like today, where it's easy to see everything, if you want to see the stuff that isn't the best stuff selected for from the work of the past, that's where you have to put in the effort. You have to go to libraries, you have to go to the drawing rooms at the museums if you want to see everything. The good thing about the past is that you automatically look at it through the filter of greatness, and that makes you better and it improves your taste quickly. And for the love of God, don't think it's cute that you don't know anything about art and art history. It makes me a little bit sick when I talk to really good artists and they're pros and they're just like, they think it's cute to be like, oh, it's weird, I don't know anything about art history. It's like, cool. No, that's cool. It's great. And if you think that's pretentious, yes. Yes, it's art. What else would be pretentious? It's art. Whoa, that lasso tool really slowed down my computer there for some reason. That scared me. That never happens. I was like, this is about to crash right now. What's a good source to learn about art history? Go to the museums. You need to go to the museums. I do not understand artists who their favorite place in the world isn't their nearest art museum. I don't understand you. I just don't get you. I really don't. You need to go to the museums. I'm lucky I live next to the Metropolitan Museum of Art. You know, not next to it, but I live in New York City, so I'm close enough to visit whenever I want. It's the hallowed halls of art, baby. You're crazy if you don't go to your art museums. Forget any particular art book or watching some YouTube channel that's like going to take you through art history. Stop it. Get outside, go walk through the art museum. It's that simple. I'm good, Octavio. How are you? Steve, have you ever considered doing a stream where you talk about a particular thing in art history you think more of us should know? You always have great little anecdotes about the old masters. Yeah, I have. I've had a lot of ideas for stuff like that. I still want to do... I'll eventually do great moments in the history of form. That's one I've always wanted to do. Why so slow? It's unusual. I guess that's hard. Hi, Stephen. Do you think that drawing directly is a necessary skill to become better, or a result of one putting hundreds and thousands of hours into attempting to get better at drawing? Drawing directly, like with no sketch or something, that's not necessary at all. That's just some people's thing, you know? I think it's kind of silly. Everybody saw Kim Jong-gi a few years ago, and there was like that, and everyone's reaction was, that's how you're supposed to draw. It's like, no, that's how he's supposed to draw. Why are you supposed to draw that way? You've got his life, you've got his interests, you've got his temperament. No, obviously not. Everyone's supposed to draw a different way. So no, drawing directly is not a necessary skill. Might be a useful one for you, you know, for the kind of jobs that you want to do or something like that, but it's not at all necessary. Not at all necessary. Hi, Stephen. Do you think that I should apply the studies directly on my projects, or should I take some time to apply the studies on simpler practices and then use that knowledge for the project? I think artists should always be running a project. If you're talking about studies like the ones in my course, I don't think it's necessarily important if you're doing the exercises and smaller studies or a project. I don't know if that distinction matters. What matters is that you're never doing just the exercises. You only benefit so much from rendering spheres and cubes on their own and doing nothing but that for days or weeks at a time. The real benefit is putting your all into rendering something like a sphere or a cube, and then starting your next day, sitting down to draw your beloved anime waifu and seeing, oh my god, the tip of her nose is really just a cube. Well, that'd be an unusual anime waifu, right? They don't have many cube-like noses. But it's that idea. You're supposed to be in a feedback loop with the things that you actually like drawing and the things that you're learning in your exercises. You're missing at least half the growth if you're only doing the exercises. It's not a good way to do it. Do you know any great artists that do not know art history? Yeah, I do, but it's clear, for every one of them, it's clear it's holding them back. And then every time they discover an artist from art history, they're like, oh my God, this changes everything. You know, this is obviously you're supposed to do it. I have so much to learn from this. It's like, you know, you could have done this a long time ago. You could have got through it a long time ago. Do you stretch a lot? Not really. Not as much as I should. I do stretch my hand often. Your point on AI and art future, thank you. I think it's a black swan. No one can predict what's going to happen. Chaos. Pure chaos. It's going to change something, though. Steven, I started drawing focusing on my skills, but now I don't know what to do with said skills or what path I should focus on. Have you ever felt lost like this? Yeah, man. We've all been there. It's like I can barely draw because I have no idea what I like or what I want to do. Look, this, Zeka, all, you know, my whole YouTube channel is my long answer to this. You know, like I have tons of videos backed up on the YouTube channel where I basically do a huge exorcism on the entire skill-based mentality. So, not to discount your question or anything, but I would check out some of the back videos on this YouTube channel because the horrible truth is that the current way art gets taught, which focuses exclusively on skills because that is what is easy to talk about to a mass audience, makes us over-focus on it. And the problem with that is that it's actually possible to lose a significant portion of your creativity or let it atrophy by only focusing on skills. So what you're going through is not rare. It's to be expected considering how these things go, and you need to fight it tooth and nail. You must resist. You must fix this. So get back to being creative. Don't let anything get in your way. What would you say is the optimal amount of time one should dedicate to drawing daily in order to steadily improve? I'm aware there isn't a set answer. I'm just curious what works for you. There isn't a set answer. I wouldn't say any amount is optimal. It depends on your energy level. It's not about a number. I think the idea that there's a number is damaging and invidious. I think the only thing that can be said about it is that you should always have a little bit left in the tank at the end of the day. Not a lot, you know, if you're in a serious time of studying and trying to improve, don't leave a lot in the tank, but you should never exhaust yourself completely. That's what I should say. And for everyone, that time period is going to be different. It's either going to be, you know, for some people it's going to be a half hour. For some people it's going to be 8 hours. And I refuse to say that one time is better than the other because I think even if you couch it a lot, people can't help but be affected by it. It has a damaging effect on their interiority. They won't be able to forget it once you thoughtlessly fling out a number like that, like everybody does. And then they come to my stream and they go, I know the number doesn't matter, but what's the number though? But like, what's the number? I'm not making fun of you. Well, I'm low-key making fun of you, but it's in good faith. I understand the confusion. I'm making fun of this crazy thing we did to art in the world these days. We got to fight back on this stuff, you know? Art's tricky. There's a lot of things you got to balance all at once. you got to be dedicated and improve your skills, but you've got to control your mentality and you've got to not get distracted by the wrong things. It's that's why it's so hard to get good, you know, because it's really it's a Zen challenge, you know. It's good work if you can get it though. No. Mm-hmm. Oh boy, I got a lot of messages here. Hey Sam, what's up? Steve, I've not drawn for a couple months now. Do you know the best way to get back? There's no best way to get back. You just start. Just go into it. Just do it. Don't make it a bigger thing than it is, you know? Just simply begin again, you know? Go at it. There's no best way to do it or anything like that. Just go, 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 go. Did you play Elden Ring, Steven? Any design monster that caught your attention? I think the Revenants are a cool design, even though they're awful to fight. Bobby Benaneta says, I have a philosophical question here. Do you ever wonder what will happen to your art after you're gone? I think about this a lot when I make art. Will anyone enjoy my work and take it, or will it be thrown in the trash? I don't know. I don't think about it, I guess. I wouldn't worry about it. You know, I don't think you could really predict that, because we've seen there's plenty of artists who were great and then they were forgotten and then they get rediscovered many years later, and who knows how many more artists have something like that coming for them. You know, we just haven't hit that time yet. I wouldn't worry about it. You know, you never know what's going to happen. How do you go about balancing studies, exercises to personal work? Is it more personal preference? I think it is personal preference. For me personally, man, I mean, I find all of art enjoyable, you know, and I find all of art enjoyable, so it's not really about balancing it for like what's good for me and what isn't. It's like, if I'm studying a photograph, it's extremely enjoyable. If I'm drawing from life, it's extremely enjoyable. If I'm drawing out of my head, it's extremely enjoyable. If I'm doing a design for a focused idea, it's extremely enjoyable. And these days, you know, I really just get to follow my nose, you know, and do what I want. So I really don't worry about balancing, you know. I think life is dangerous enough and scary enough in so many other ways that I'll let myself gorge on as much artistic happiness as I can allow myself to, as is possible. So I just follow my nose, and it's like, let's draw a little bit from life, let's copy some photos, let's do some designs, let's paint a little bit, you know, just whatever, you know. But that's for me personally at this point in my life and my career. Xander says, what God do you pray to? There's only the God of drawing for me. Octavia says, hey, how do you deal with the days or weeks when you know what you're producing is not good enough and you know you can do better? However, you have to finish because you have deadlines. Well, if you have deadlines, just finish. I mean, you will feel better about hitting your deadline and having it done than you would about pursuing something abstractly perfect forever. I would just hit your deadlines. Don't worry too much about producing what isn't good enough. Now, if your deadlines are things you don't agree with, right? If you don't like your job, if you don't like your industry, that's a different consideration. And you'd need to fix that first for everything else to balance out. But just on the face of it, let's say you feel like you're doing the right kind of thing, I wouldn't worry about if it's not coming out as good as you imagine it could. It's like, it never will. It's like, you're an artist, right? It's your job to be able to imagine something better. So it's never really going to quite hit the level. You'll feel better about hitting your deadline. So I would just hit it. Stick to that. Mel says, hey, Steven, so in your course, I'm struggling with the textured sphere exercise, mainly because after I lay down the shadows with the airbrush, I'm unsure how to go about it. I assume it's more of a painting issue than a drawing one. Not sure. Well, it depends what you pick for your textured sphere. The textured sphere is really the first introduction in the course to needing to do more traditional drawing work over the base form rendering. So since you're doing it digital, you're going to need to grapple with figuring out what kind of brushes and things like that get a good feeling for you, you know. So up until the textured sphere, you can do everything with oh, that stupid light leak is distracting me. Anybody else get a Huion Kamvas 4K Pro and have it ship with some nasty orange light leak in one of the corners? Anyone else have that? Can you get rid of it? Is there anything you can do about it? I don't know how light leak works. I don't know if there's something you can do to get rid of it. Just like there's an orange splotch down there in the bottom left-hand corner, and I'm trying to not let it bother me. So before the textured sphere, you know, you can do all of the exercises theoretically with just the airbrush and hitting it like this, da 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 da, and you know, all of the other modeling factors you can nail with practice if you just very subtly use hard clipping mass to get your hard edges and use the airbrush to do your soft rendering. But with the textured sphere, you're really going to need to grapple with finding some way to draw. So if this was your base if that was your base render, you're going to need to get, well, first you're going to have to find some sort of brush that you're comfortable with. For me, it's just the hard round. I don't feel like there's anything I can't do with the hard round, so you can rely on that. It's going to take some practice to get used to, but I'm not going to tell anyone that they can't use texture brushes or anything like that. It might take texture brushes for it to feel good for you. But you need to find some way now to just draw with the tool that you have. So modulate your values, you know, be careful how you come out of the dark halftone and slide around the terminator. Let's just say you're doing the something similar. You could have picked what, as I said, you can pick whatever you want for those exercises, but just to use forms similar to what I did. This is just hand drafting skills, right? There's nothing fancy going on here. But what you want to watch out for is that everything that you add with hand drawing aligns with the basic render, right? So notice that these lines right here, like this one, is about the same value as the overall shadow tone that we have down here. This one's getting a smidge darker, right? So maybe while you're doing that, we can push that slightly lighter so that it's reacting a little bit more in line with the overall gradation of form on the sphere. But the thing is that you're going to need to, and this is another big part of this exercise that I talk about in the video, you've got to introduce the idea that all of these textures you're introducing are just forms, right? So if I look at the overlaps of all of these textures, if I were to zoom way into this little pixelated area here, there's terminators, reflected light, ambient occlusion, all of the other modeling factors are occurring in there. So at some point, you're going to want to pick, you know, this is a ridge. It can get a little darker there because that would be a terminator or a core shadow. It'll cast a slight shadow onto the textures underneath it. It'll produce pure black ambient occlusion in the creases where these things overlap. And you don't need to get this neurotic, right? This is just sort of doing a zoom in to explain what's really going on there. But that just, now that looks like nonsense if you don't understand the modeling factors, right? So you've watched the modeling factors section. You're not putting down random stuff there. That's all just making further choices about modeling factors. So that looks like what? Like that. But then when you zoom out, it just feels like an actual textural moment, a crease. It scales everything. You know, your eye sees that the full fractal reality of how light works is occurring in that little area and the sphere as a whole. And that makes it feel real and rendered. So these are the concepts that you want to focus on when you do the sphere. Just fine. Keep it simple if your brushes are frustrating you. You see me here doing it with just the hard round. So if you really just hit up on a wall on that, like don't go wishing that a brush is going to help you. They don't help. Texture brushes suck. Digital art has been around for all of 20 years, and it's almost no one's job to do this, right? Only Kyle T. Webster is it his job, and he makes good brushes, but it's still a very crude tool, you know? They're not, especially in Photoshop, it's like they're not meant to be used like this. So don't rely on brushes to do your job well for you. You know, you're just gonna have to accept that you're gonna have to do it by hand. If you want something done right, you gotta do it yourself. That's simple. Steven, ever spent a long time on a job and the client goes, we're going to go in a different direction and fire you? I mean, yeah, but if you already got paid for the time allotted, I mean, what's the problem? There's no such thing as a secure art job. So, as long as you got paid for the time you worked, no skin off my nose. It was going to happen eventually. I think if I wanted to work on this one more, I'd just redo it from scratch. Will you ever release more videos concerning your project with GeoNapkill? Yeah, I want to get back to that. Just not long after we started touching base on that. He got that job as one of the creative directors over at Adobe for the VR team. So he's super busy. He's like making VR happen over at Adobe. Doggies, no. Go to bed, dogs. Fall asleep, I said. No. Hey Steven, I'm starting to get more comfortable with digital painting and I'm only using the hard round brush. How important is it to approach textured brushes in your opinion? I hate them. I mean, I don't I don't like them, but I just use them whenever there's a brush that is really perfect for that particular task, which I think that's all you really need to use them for. If you're going to use them, if you're like trying to use them in a job capacity, like you're doing art jobs, you really just need to use the ones that work for your particular, I don't know, stuff that your studio makes. Like you guys make a lot of pictures that have grass in them. Use a grass brush. It's like, there's no texture brush that's like good for everything. You know, you just need a grab bag for the kind of pictures you make. That's all it is. I'm not interested in them. I find them boring, frustrating. I don't really like, I'm not huge on texture, you know. I'm a form guy, you know, not really so much a surface effect guy. You know, I like things that feel round and massy and three-dimensional and what's the word I'm looking for? They look awesome instead of like crap. So I don't really worry about texture. And when I do want texture, I usually want like a hero texture in a very particular place. So I just draw it by hand, you know. Do you have a stream schedule? I'm probably doing 3 days a week these days. Maybe it's probably gonna look like Monday, Wednesday, Friday. constantly coping with the reality that getting into an art career is probably the best choice for my mental health, despite art careers being infamous for being super unstable. You know, it's just, for some people, there's really no other option, you know? There's really no other option. Is it important for artistic growth to be a working artist? Not by definition. It's just that it's usually really hard to, if you want infinite growth, it's usually really hard to make enough room for that in your life without becoming a working artist. But it's not a requirement at all. No problem, Welkin. Glad that advice worked for you. That was a fun video to make. Have you considered listening to music while you illustrate? I usually do. I'm listening to music right now. It's just that you guys can't hear it. Or it's too soft. Yeah, Horizon. Sam's right. I haven't tried Krita, but it looks great. I've used Clip. Clip is excellent. Nick says, what's your impression on the color range of the Kamvas? Do you tinker with it? I have struggles seeing sufficient contrast differences in the dark blues. I have not tinkered with it. I mean, I just did a basic brightness and contrast adjustment. You know, it starts on the standard setting. I put it on the closer to the film setting or something like that. That was all I did to it. I don't really have high expectations for it. For really any monitor, you know, my iMac is my main monitor, and I just if something's important like color or value wise, I'm going to evaluate it on there, not on another monitor. Like even when I'm sketching like I am now, I have my stream. My stream preview is up in OBS on my iMac in front of me, so I can see the iMac color version of this on that screen. Well, even that's not actually right because OBS's color space is a little different too, but I can at least see the gamma range, you know. It's all right, I would say. I really got it for the, just to be able to draw, not really for the color space or anything like that. Are you going to continue on the pandemonium pieces you were doing? Yep. Now my time is freeing up, for sure. Hello, Sergio. How are you? I don't know. Waita says, do you often photo bash when working? I do not. I don't do any photo bashing these days. I just draw and paint. I think it is semi-common knowledge that one cannot know everything about the anatomy, about a human body or animal if the end goal is to not become an anatomist. With that in mind, how does one go about observing and eventually designing forms on more uncommon subjects, especially when limited to online photos rather than having the real life thing in front of you? You know, there's just undercurrents. There's trends, through lines that you start to see in anatomy, whether in human or in animal. You know, that's why animal anatomy is often called or studied as comparative anatomy, because the human and animal anatomy can be extremely similar. I think the real trick is to connect with those undercurrents and to just get an intuitive feel for what structures tend to do in abstraction. You know, it's less about bicep this, rectus that, and it's more about press, squish, transform, wedge, pass, lock, like all of those more abstract feelings, and understanding what tends to produce them and in what situations they show up in. At least that's what it has been for me. Whoops, sorry. All right, let's see. Hi, Nico. Winter Squash says, hey, Steven, any thoughts on DALL-E 2, the AI that can generate completely new images / art from text prompts? I have a lot of thoughts. It would take a long time for me to say everything that I think about it. So I'm going to try to sum it up as... I'll sum it up as the title of a YouTube video I've been writing about this topic for even before DALL-E 2 hit the scene. This is the working title for this video. There's no good reason to draw. You should do it. And that's it. You know, we don't know what's going to come of this thing. And I think that it's important with everything that's going on in the markets, the industries, with technology, for us to separate the art of drawing from incentives. So I'm not actually like I've worked in the art industries. I still work in the art industries. I have connections there. That's how I've made all my money, But I don't actually think of myself as an industry guy. You'll notice, like, if you go click the link in the description to go check out my new drawing course, Form from Imagination, there's nothing on that landing page that says, like, hey, you need to know this to make video games or something like that. Like, that's not my focus. That's not why I made the YouTube channel. I'm really more of a religious zealot for drawing. I think of myself as working for the divine and ancient art of drawing as a gateway to mystical experience and communion with God through a deep and profound understanding of the nature of visual phenomena, to put it lightly. So the idea that a robot would come through and decimate the industries or anything like that, I'm perfectly willing to accept that. It could have been anything else for me, It could have been the markets changing completely. If you take your local, tribalistic view, the idea that you can't do an art job in your part of the world anymore, it's going to other parts of the world, things like that. It's all the same problem as far as I'm concerned. I consider anything that keeps people from drawing the devil, and I will forever think of them as my eternal enemy, and I will work valiantly to undermine them and to preserve drawing for all of posterity, if I possibly can, and make it such that what our forefathers in the caves at Lascaux felt when they first pressed ember to wall, we will be able to feel forever. Yeah. Any of your YouTube videos you'd recommend if I wanted to see as much of your digital painting process as possible? I don't remember one from the top of my head, though I watch most of them. I don't think I have one because I don't really have a set process. If I do have a process, I don't consider it different from the way I draw. I know that it may seem like I'm, lying or beating around the bush, but when I do digital paintings like this, I am literally not thinking of anything but everything I think about with a pencil in my hand when I'm drawing on paper. It's just the modeling factors. That's all that's happening. And it's the same hand moves and shortcuts that I do when I draw on paper. That's why they can speak to each other efficiently. The only difference is that I'm using colors. But in a painting like this, there's almost no color. I mean, the painting barely changes when I make it black and white and colored, right? It's just, it's monochromatic, you know, there's only this muddy brown yellow. And if things get really tricky for me, like I just play like a complementary color scheme. I look for warm and cool. Like, I'm not super crazy for my paintings, you know, with color, generally not. I just happen to be drawing while using color. That's what I do. You know, sometimes with work, you got to get pretty crazy with color, and that's a different discussion. But for my things, you know, what would be my process, I really don't think about anything but drawing principles, really. There's things I can prescribe, like really rigid processes, like where you do everything on layers, you use multiply layers for the shadows, you use linear dodge layers for the lights, but that's not how I paint, you know? That's not how I do my pictures. Yeah, but why would you want to have an experience when a computer can experience it for you? I know what you're saying, James. I know what you're saying. And then what happens when the computer starts telling you, you know, I'm very good at experiencing this. I experience more joy doing this than you do. It's like, what do you do then? What position does that put us, the consequentialists, in? Bye, Sam. Happy to have you. My digital drawing and painting have seemed to improve a lot, but I still struggle on traditional. How do I balance this? Do you like doing traditional? I mean, don't worry about it too much if what you like is digital, you know? It's totally valid to just pick one or the other. You don't have to balance it, necessarily. Good to see you, James. How are you, buddy? That's right, we just sit and chat. Oh, big stretch. Oh, big stretch. How's Chromacore going, James? Let's jump to another sketch. I'm getting a little bored of this one. It's fun to just leap around. It's fun getting to do whatever you want, man. Maybe I'll draw something new. What the hey, what the heck, I mean, who cares, draw whatever you want, oh yeah. I don't know, Waita says, do you think 3D is a must in concept art these days, since it is so fast to do with 3D? I see many concept artists just switch to it and then just filter a bit with Photoshop. Depends what kind of work you do, man. I mean, that's going to be the case in some industries, and it's not going to be the case in others. Yeah, it just depends on the industry. Maybe in video games, a lot of it's like, no, because even then, I mean, there's tons of video games where they're trying to go for a particular style and there's just not going to be any 3D assets at the beginning. So I really think it's almost impossible to make any generalizations about things like that, because it really does change studio to studio, you know? Concept artist isn't actually one job. It's a million different jobs that people are pretending is one job. So it's going to be different from studio to studio. Let's draw a gate. I need to draw a gate for Paradise Lost at some point. Paradise Lost Book 2 Summary. It's the first set of gates. First is brass, second is iron, third is adamantine. Three each of brass, iron, and adamantine. You could almost just paint brass as gold. Almost. A little darker. A little browner. Good for you, Welkin. Chroma Core is good so far. I've done nothing. Yeah, I remember that. When I was judge, all I did was every day I'd randomly go into the Discord for that day's prompt and I'd write some blood-curdling screed against the enemy in the chat. I'd be like, their bones lay before us on the battlefield, but even their bones will not survive. Crush, destroy, rend! It worked. They'll tell you there was a time rift. They'll tell you they can't say which team was the winner. We all know the truth. We're going to base this on Rodin's Gates of Hell. Know your art history, just like I excoriated earlier. I want to do some melting stuff. Rodin's wacky style made it so that there wasn't all these perfect verticals and horizontals on the gates. I want to get some of that. I'm not looking at Rodin's gates, I'm just doing it from memory, inspired by his gates. So let's change some proportions here. So if that was the basic layout, I want them taller. This is kind of boring shape versus boring shape, so let's just... That feels like a nicer triangle. No, I'm not going to use a golden rectangle. That's not real. Hate to say it, everybody who believes it, but the golden ratio obviously doesn't do anything. Or else your cell phone and movie formats would all be in the golden ratio and you wouldn't be able to resist it. It's obvious it does nothing. It's just an irrational, non-repeating number that allows plants to not shade their own leaves. That's why it occurs everywhere in nature. You wish design was that easy. You wish design was as easy as just making everything the golden ratio, please. No, dogs. Quiet. Go to sleep. Sleep forever. It's time for the eternal sleep of dogs. Dogs don't understand internet streaming. That's their biggest problem. That's the number one thing holding dogs back, is that they don't understand internet streaming. And of course, they just have to be right under my legs. They could be anywhere else in the apartment, but they're like, no, right under dad. Right under dad. Let me save this already in case there's a crash. I'll put this in my project folders later. Paradise, Lost, Brass Gates. Steve, how do you determine... Whoa, wait, I'm missing a lot here. Steve, how do you determine when painting bronze or brass whether you want a dark black patina, reddish, goldish, or greenish? Nobody ever does purple. I don't know. I don't know, bud. I did a concept a while ago that was supposed to be really oxidized brass or copper. Where would that be? Project files. Dang, where is it? Oh no, these were bronze, not brass. But the answer to how you decide is you do this. You do iterations. So you look at them in different versions to try to decide which one you like the best. All right, let's draw for like 10 more minutes, and then I'm gonna hop off because I gotta get dinner going for my lovely wife. Let's sketch in some anguished figures. For these gates of hell. I fucking love drawing. Damn. I mean, it's the most fun thing. I mean, are you seeing what I'm doing right now? You could just do this for free. You could spend as much of your time as you can manage doing this. I mean, God, drawing is the best. Oh, it's good. And it's easy, baby. Zapata, when are you going live again? Probably Wednesday. I think we're doing Monday, Wednesday, Friday for a while. But I don't know. I mean, I might go live tomorrow. I think I'm going to try to do 3 days a week as the base, but I'll show up more often than that if I got the time. I'm hanging, I'm drawing, I'm making YouTube videos. A lot of my time right now is going to go to giving feedback for the course. So I'm spending a lot of my day doing that. But, you know, that'll oscillate, you know. Some days there'll be a lot of feedback to give. Some days there'll only be a bit of feedback to give. Dogs, I'll destroy you. I mean, I love you. Be cool, my babies. Proportions, more interesting proportions. I added those crazy figures up top, so these lintels up here aren't nearly as interesting. So I'm just gonna stretch them, get a more dramatic silhouette out of them. But then that begs for a nicer transition, so let's select them. That'll give us a little bit more height to do a transition with. That looks better. Thank you, Hubs. I'm glad to be back. Glad to be back. Let's go a few more minutes here. You're right, Alex. Just because Fanny doesn't understand doesn't mean all dogs don't understand. I do this full time for free, just my parents that don't like the idea. Yep. The eternal halls of art glory, heck yeah. Will you keep this as just line art or add more values to it? Actually, something like this, since it's a design drawing, and it's very important for the design that it be a specific material, this is the kind of thing that I would jump to color on very quickly. So I would basically do a sketch that gives me a good idea for the sculptural forms, but very earlier than I would otherwise. I would get a brass-like tone under here. And I would start messing with it like this. So I would see how that affects the values, if I want to do a patina on it, if I want to play some cool stuff with like the really nice highlights. Like with metals, they're really high contrast, and this is something Rodin designs into his Gates of Hell that we can react to. Know your art history. Damn it. He has really dark shadows coming off of these architectural elements up top. So anything that we put inside here, like if we have detail sculptures and stuff like that, that will push back. And if it's metallic, if it's brass, you know, Rodin's Gates of Hell are, you know, there's plaster versions of them. They were cast in bronze, but copper, I mean, this would get really hot. It would get like super saturated orange in these very dark areas, and that would look really nice. That would make a really cool effect, and then we could play that against the parts that come towards us, because those will have pure hot metallic highlights running in areas like this, and we can use those to pull forms forward, and then we can plunge other forms way back into the deep orangish reddish metallic space. So the material is pretty important for this one. So for this kind of thing, because it's a design drawing, because the material sort of is the design, the whole point is that Satan encounters 9 gates, 3 of brass, 3 of iron, and 3 of adamantium. The material is paramount, so I'd put it in there early so I could make design decisions off of it instead of ignoring it, and try to work to the material. Hey Jacob, welcome to the stream. I'm gonna leave in a bit, actually. I gotta go get dinner going, but happy to have you. Happy to have you come by. We got some drawing in today. We did some drawing. What did we draw? We drew these guys. We just started on these doors. I want to continue on that. Maybe I'll work on these guys tomorrow or Wednesday. I thought I was gonna poke these guys, but I didn't wind up poking them. Didn't poke that either. Nope. That's from the other day. Worked on this, painted this today on stream. I think that's what we did, right? That was all that. Hey Shelly, glad you like the streams. I'm gonna be leaving in just a bit because gotta cook dinner. But you know, the recording is there for y'all. What things in drawing that you apply to your life? How did it model your vision of the world around you? I mean, it changed the way I view the world completely. I would say these days it almost completely defines the character of my experience. Yeah, to put it lightly. I mean, it's hard to try to gauge like what it transformed, what it didn't. It's just like completely defines the character of my experience. Everything. What I think about, how I look at sunlight, trees, happy little kitty cats, how I look at relationships, how I guide my life. Like, it gives me confidence. It makes me feel brave. It makes me feel like I should try hard, you know? I mean, that's all from art. It's all from drawing, from Her Majesty Drawing. How's the new tablet going? It has an ugly orange light leak spot all the way in the bottom left. It is not in the part of the tablet that I ever use. It's just down there in my layers menu, but it's annoying that it's there. I don't know. Maybe I'll send it back just for the principle of it, even though I don't think it would actually ever get in my way. It's like a orange, just bloop, just a ploit, like someone pressed it real hard with their finger and left like Cheeto dust on it. No problem, Patrick. I have not seen the gates from Full Metal Alchemist. If they're similar to these, I will refrain from looking, so I am not influenced. Yours made me think of it, so I just Googled it, and on the wiki on Full Metal Alchemist, it describes it as Auguste Rodin's sculpture of the Gates of Hell from Dante's Inferno. Yeah, man. You gotta be well influenced. You've gotta be well influenced. Anybody interested in new AI dating disrupt an industry? Might be up someone's alley. I don't know. If you wanna lose all your credit card information, you might want to click that before I ban them. Oh, thank you, Monochrome Effect. That's very kind. Thank you for the kind words about the course. I'm having a lot of fun with it. I got plans for it. I've already got a little document of videos and topics that I'm going to add to it just already, just based off of seeing what people are doing and homework assignments. You know, I have ideas for common problems videos, extra topics that I want to cover. So I'm very excited for it. I'm going to grow it. And again, big thanks to everybody who's in there already. You know, it's super exciting. I can't wait to see what you guys make and to watch you guys grow and see this thing work on your drawings, you know, and teach you this stuff. And thank you for posting your assignments. If you post your assignments on Instagram or anything like that, your spheres, cubes, whatever you do, please tag me in them so I can see as well and so I can share them. But yeah, post in the community. It's fun seeing all your work. I like doing the feedback, you know. Notes, diagrams. But this is very useful for me too. Obviously, it's, you know, I want to do it so that you guys see what's going on, but it's very useful for me to get the immediate feedback of what is coming up for people over and over again, because that lets me make the thing better and to address issues that occur over and over again. I really like that. Attaboy, Nick. Attaboy. Hey, Steven, what's the dragon you got hiding there? What plans? Which dragon? Oh, this one? He wasn't for anything in particular. I was in a phase before I started working on the course back in January where I was just in a phase where I was painting a lot of gold. So he was just one of the many sketches that came out of that period. I was really just in love with gold for a while. Hi, Steven. How would you approach starting to learn how to make comics? I would break down your favorite comics analytically. You know, I think it's the same process you would do for anything you want to learn. Break down your favorite stuff analytically, do deep research into how that stuff gets made. You know, look for interviews and things like that. Scott McCloud's How to Make Comics is very good. You know, I've read it. I don't make comics myself, but sounds like it's all right. You know, I don't do comics per se, but you guys have seen that I do like animatics and things like that, storyboards. I've done those for work a lot. And while they're not really the same as a graphic novel where it's motion happening on a static page, a lot of the principles do apply. And most of what I think about when I do that comes from cinematography knowledge, actually. I watch a lot of like cinematography YouTube and things like that. I just like that stuff. You know, I don't, I'm not a cinematographer, but I'm like that's one of those things that it's like, I just admire what they do. And even though it's not actually one of my hobbies, I'm like, yeah. I just love, I don't know. I love hearing about these cameras that I will never buy, and just like, you know, here's a 35 millimeter prime that costs $30,000. Just like, wow, you know, I have no idea, but I like that stuff. I like watching cinematography YouTube, and hearing about, you know, the styles of the cinematographers and watching like breakdowns of what makes them different and things like that. I think stuff like that is mostly what has percolated into my storyboard and sequential knowledge. So I would recommend that too, you know. I like Cinema Cartography, which used to be Channel Criswell. That's very good. Every Frame of Painting, which is a classic. That YouTube channel is closed down, but the archive is great introduction to cinematography ideas. There's just so many, you know. Cinematography YouTube is humongous, so you've got no lack of choices there. Yeah, in-depth cine is good. That's right, Nick. Yeah. Easy, Tiger. All right, everybody, I'm gonna go. Thanks for hanging out. That was a fun, quick little session. I'll be back Wednesday-ish, if not tomorrow. Anything else? I don't think so. Bye, Seth. Bye, Barbecue Ted. Bye, Victor. Isn't How to Draw the Marvel Way mostly about drawing figures and inking? Oh, that's referencing something from before. How to Draw Comics the Marvel Way is a good book. I haven't seen it in years, but that's a classic. Do I own a copy? I don't think so. It's a great book, though. Night, everybody. Bye, Welcome. Bye, Jacob. Bye, Seth. Bye, Yankee. Bye, Indra. Bye, Chris. Bye, Joe. Talk to you soon, brother. Bye, everyone. Roll the ad. I'll run this one.